Everything changed in a matter of seconds. There was a time, and honestly, it wasn't even that long ago, when this franchise had a pristine, almost flawless blueprint for the future. We're talking about an era defined by generational quarterback prospects, offensive lines meticulously built to just absolutely dominate the trenches for a straight decade. But one sudden retirement, one totally unexpected fracture in that foundation, and that entire blueprint was shredded. Just like that. Now you're fighting for your absolute survival in the National Football League. Welcome to NFL Nexus. I'm your host, and today we are breaking down a franchise that is standing right on the absolute brink. If you want to understand the hidden, extremely high-stakes mechanisms driving the league today, well, you're in the exact right place. Before we unfold this incredible story, make sure you subscribe to the channel, drop a like on this explainer, leave a comment down below with your thoughts, and hey, support our deep dives by becoming a channel member. You absolutely do not want to miss what we're building here, because today, we are looking at a team where the margin for error has completely, utterly vanished.
I want you to really look at this question. Feel the heavy, suffocating weight of it. What actually happens when a franchise runs out of time? As the Indianapolis Colts take the field for their final training camp at Grand Park in Westfield, Indiana, that is the exact reality hanging heavy in the humid summer air. Let's be totally clear. This isn't just practice. This isn't just a casual tune-up to get the legs right for September. No, this is a ticking time bomb for general manager Chris Ballard and his entire regime. For years now, the clock has been winding down. We've all seen the painful carousel of veteran quarterbacks, right? Phillip Rivers, Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan. Each one of them was brought in to act as this hopeful patch on a rapidly sinking ship. And those gambles, they just didn't pay off. Whatever leeway the front office earned from their past successes has completely evaporated. Every single rep, every single dropped pass, every slight limp on the practice field, it all carries the ultimate consequence now. The safety net is entirely gone.
The stakes have literally never been higher than they are right now. The ownership trio, Carly Ursay-Gordon, Kalen Jackson, and Casey Foyt, they are watching from the balcony. And let me tell you, they are no longer asking for patience. They are demanding a masterpiece. This right here is the final proving ground. For Chris Ballard, this is the ultimate ultimatum. Think about what is actually on the line here. A full decade of trial and error, 10 years of meticulously drafting, trading back, hoarding draft picks, and trying to develop raw athletic talent. It is all on the line. The ownership remembers the high-profile misses. They absolutely remember the calculated gambles that ended up setting the franchise back. So the days of trusting the process are over. They want the final product, and they want it today. If the pieces do not perfectly align this August, if this roster falters right out of the gate, the vision ends here. This entire era comes to a close.
Okay, let's dive into exactly how these stakes are manifesting on the roster, and the leverage begins with a single number, 18. Now, that isn't just some random statistic on a stat sheet. That is 18 rushing touchdowns from Jonathan Taylor last season, which tied his career high. That number is pure unadulterated leverage. It is a massive, totally unignorable weapon in the hands of the single most vital piece of the Colts offense. You see, when Jonathan Taylor is on the field, the entire defensive geometry of the opponent literally changes. Defenses are entirely forced to stack the box with 8 men, bringing those safeties creeping down to the line of scrimmage, which, as a byproduct, immediately opens up the deep play-action passing game. He dictates the absolute terms of engagement before the ball is even snapped. When he's absent, the void is catastrophic. The RPO game just stalls out, the field shrinks drastically, and Taylor knows exactly how much absolute power that number 18 gives him at the negotiating table. Which brings us to a frankly brilliant, yet entirely terrifying tactical maneuver: the hold-in. Now, we saw the seeds of this exact contract dispute back in 2023, and the specter has returned with an absolute vengeance. By reporting to camp, Taylor is exploiting a really critical loophole. Under the current collective bargaining agreement, an unexcused absence from training camp results in mandatory, unwaivable fines of $50,000 per day. That's a massive hit. So by simply showing up to the building, Taylor avoids those crushing financial penalties. But by refusing full on-field participation, he protects his body from injury, and he squeezes the absolute life out of the front office. It is a masterful, incredibly high-stakes game of chicken. Taylor is essentially daring the Colts to look out onto the grass and see exactly what their highly touted offense becomes without him carrying the load.
And when they do look behind him on that depth chart, this is the chilling reality they have to face. Contrast a man who drops back-to-back 1,400-yard seasons against the terrifying unknown. You've got DJ Giddens. You've got Seth McGowan, a 7th-round pick who is desperately fighting just to earn a spot on the roster. These are the players who are tasked with keeping a do-or-die season afloat if Taylor limits his reps. The drop-off isn't just steep, it's a sheer cliff.
Think about what happens to head coach Shane Steichen's playbook if they literally have to rely on a seventh-rounder to carry the rock. Defenses are going to immediately drop back into two high safety shells, completely daring the quarterback to beat them, smothering all those passing lanes. The Colts desperately want to decrease Taylor's workload to keep him fresh for a deep playoff run, but how can you realistically pull back your absolute superstar when the safety net behind him is completely unproven and entirely incapable of carrying that kind of load?
But here's the thing. The running back room isn't the only place where money is violently dictating survival. The financial shockwaves are completely reshaping every corner of this roster. To really grasp this, you have to understand the fundamental philosophy of the NFL salary cap. It is a strict zero-sum game. Every single dollar spent to retain a superstar is a dollar that cannot be used to patch another leaking hole on this depth chart. Paying one player inevitably means creating a massive, glowing vulnerability somewhere else, and we are seeing that vulnerability play out in real time.
Just consider the sheer scale of this. What's really interesting about this side is the $114 million domino effect. The Colts had to make their choice. They pushed all their chips to the middle of the table on homegrown talent Alec Pierce, securing him as the WR1 of the future with a staggering 4-year, $114 million deal, and $60 million of that is completely guaranteed. But that monumental choice meant saying a really painful goodbye to their longtime starter of the 2020s, Michael Pittman Jr. And when a highly dependable player like Pittman walks out the door, over 100 targets are suddenly just up for grabs. More importantly than the targets, the quarterback loses his ultimate safety blanket. The guy he trusts blindly on 3rd and 8 when the pocket is collapsing around him. That creates a desperate, suffocating vacuum for a WR3. It's forcing this ruthless committee approach in camp. You've Ashton Dolan, who's mostly a special teams ace, fighting tooth and nail against veteran signee Nick Westbrook-Ikeen. If neither of them steps up to fill that massive void, this high-priced offense is going to completely stall out before it even takes the field in September. And this financial vacuum, it bleeds directly onto the practice field, defensively too. Look at the intense minutia of these camp battles. At defensive end, you have a veteran like Arden Key trying desperately to hold off second-year player Jalen Tuimoloau, who's fighting to eventually replace Kwity Paye. At linebacker, replacing Zaire Franklin's green dot duties is one thing, but who actually plays next to C.J. Allen? You have Akeem Davis-Gaither, a veteran who knows the incredibly complex nuances of Lou Anarumo's defensive concepts inside and out. He's going head-to-head with 4th-round rookie Bryce Botcher, a sub-package specialist that the Colts are incredibly high on. And at strong safety, oh man, it is a total dogfight. Strong safety in the modern NFL is insanely demanding. It requires you to act as a downhill linebacker in the run game and a fluid cornerback in the pass game. It is notoriously difficult to learn, yet 3rd-round rookie A.J. Halsey is out there trying to steal the starting job right out from under Hunter Wooler. Every single snap in this practice is being graded under a microscope. The smallest hesitation in coverage, the absolute slightest misstep in run support, it's literally going to cost these men their starting jobs.
But honestly, perhaps the most cutthroat battle in this entire camp is happening on special teams. The kicking conundrum. Spencer Schrader versus Blake Group. Now, you might be wondering, why does this specific battle matter so much? Because the loser of this duel doesn't just quietly fade away to the practice squad. They are both proven, legitimate NFL-caliber starters. Whoever loses this matchup will instantly be claimed off waivers and become an opposing team's weapon. You aren't just choosing your kicker here. You are actively arming an enemy. Just look at NFL history for a second. Look at a team like the Minnesota Vikings. They cut Daniel Carlson after a bad week in camp, only to watch him become an absolute all-pro weapon for the Raiders for years. That is the exact nightmare scenario the Colts are trying to avoid navigating right now. Then there is the most important position in all of sports. Listen to the hushed, deeply serious reality of this quote from head coach Shane Steichen. The backup QB battle is neck and neck. The Colts have completely pivoted their strategy. They're moving forward with the tandem of Daniel Jones and Riley Leonard. But lurking in the shadows of this depth chart is a massive, completely unresolved storyline. Why does Steichen value this backup battle so incredibly highly? Because in today's brutal, high-impact NFL, if your starter goes down in week 3, your backup is literally the only thing standing between a gritty playoff push and a totally, entirely lost season. And that brings us to the elephant in the room. $10.8 million. That is the massive, unavoidable cap hit carried by former number 4 overall pick Anthony Richardson Sr. He is currently fighting for the QB2 spot, but let's be entirely clear about what is actually happening on the grass at Grand Park. For Richardson, this isn't just a standard training camp battle. It is a glorified, incredibly expensive audition for 31 other teams. The Colts are on the hook for half his salary no matter what happens. If he dazzles, they can trade him. But if he struggles out there, that $10.8 million becomes an agonizing dead weight on the salary cap.
For the casual viewer, you need to understand that dead cap is absolute poison. It means crucial money is locked up on a player who isn't even helping you win games. That $10.8 million paralyzes the general manager's ability to sign midseason free agents to patch up injuries or extend other young core players. It is quite literally an anchor around the neck of this franchise. But here is the harshest truth of all. All these positional battles, all this incredibly delicate financial maneuvering we just talked about, it means absolutely nothing if the bodies don't hold up. The haunting specter of rehab hangs over this entire facility. It is the invisible enemy that can completely derail a Super Bowl window before the leaves even begin to change color in autumn. The psychological toll of this is just immense. Imagine a training camp where every single time a player goes to the turf and stays down for more than 2 seconds, the entire front office holds its collective breath. The trauma of past injuries creates this atmosphere of constant, suffocating anxiety that you can almost feel through the screen. So the absolutely crucial point here is understanding this grueling timeline. Week 14 of last season, in 2025, Daniel Jones goes down. A devastating Achilles tear. Fast forward a bit to March of 2026, your newly minted $114 million receiver Alec Pierce has to go under the knife for ankle surgery. Now look at that final date on the timeline. September 13th, the Baltimore Ravens. The clock is entirely unforgiving. When Daniel Jones steps back into the pocket at Grand Park and faces a simulated pass rush for the first time since his tendon snapped, the anxiety will be palpable. It isn't just about the tendon healing mechanically, right? It's the psychological hurdle. It's about trusting that leg enough to step firmly into a throw while a 300-pound defensive lineman is diving directly at your knees. One awkward step, one lingering grimace of hesitation, and the entire season collapses. And the defense. It is balancing on an absolute knife's edge. Just look at this fragile defensive core. You have DeForest Buckner, who is easily one of the most dominant interior defenders in the entire league. But he is returning from a herniated disc and a neck injury that was so terrifying he openly contemplated retirement. He missed 12 games over the last 2 years. Then you have Justin Wallet, fighting his way back from a rookie season ACL tear. And you have Hunter Wooler, recovering from a catastrophic Lisfranc injury. For those who might not know, a Lisfranc injury involves the complex bones and ligaments right in the midfoot. It completely destroys a player's ability to violently plant their foot and explode, which, by the way, is the absolute prerequisite for a defensive back to survive in the NFL. So the raw talent on this defense, it's undeniable. But the structural integrity of these athletes, it is completely unproven right now. And as you'll see, this brilliant comparison really illustrates the issue. This fragility forces an immense, suffocating amount of pressure directly onto the youth. Because of these lingering injuries, and because of the really tight salary cap constraints we discussed earlier, the Colts are being forced to shove young players directly into the blinding spotlight. They're expecting these massive leaps in production that usually take years to materialize. They need third-year edge rusher Laiatu Latu to not just be good, they need him to become a TJ Watt clone right now. Think about how incredibly high that bar is. Watt has game-wrecking bend, the ability to strip-sack the quarterback and literally take over a game single-handedly. The Colts are banking on Latu delivering double-digit sacks to mask the massive, glaring deficiencies in the secondary behind him. It is a monumental gamble on potential over proven production. We have to zoom out for a second and look at the broader historical context of what is happening in Indiana. It is a house of cards. The absolute smallest details, a rookie missing a coverage read, a kicker pushing a 45-yarder wide right in the fourth quarter of a preseason game, a backup defensive end losing outside contain on a crucial third down, these seemingly microscopic moments in the sweltering August heat will literally decide the fate of Chris Ballard's legacy. If the youth movement stalls out, if the rehabs linger longer than expected, if the hold-ins fracture the locker room, this regime falls. Make no mistake. If Ballard is fired, there is no safety net waiting for him. In the NFL, you very rarely get a second chance to build a team from scratch. There are no more excuses. There is no more wait until next year. The finality of this training camp is absolute. Which leaves us with the ultimate lingering question. When the dust finally settles at Grand Park, when the final heartbreaking cuts are made and the 53-man roster is fully locked in, will we be looking at an absolute masterclass in team building? Or will this be the final tragic cautionary tale of a regime that simply ran out of time? Is unyielding loyalty to homegrown talent actually a virtue, or is it a fatal flaw in today's cutthroat NFL? I want to know exactly what you think. Head down to the comments right now and tell me who you think wins these cutthroat camp battles. And hey, if you love this level of deep, uncompromising football analysis, make sure you hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this explainer, and support NFL Nexus directly by becoming a channel member today. We have so much more intense coverage coming your way. Until next time, keep your eyes on the details.